हेलो एवरीवन, हाउस इट गोइंग। वेलकम टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ इज इट नेसेसरी। एंड आज का मेरा एक छोटा सा सोलो पॉडकास्ट होने वाला है बिकॉज आई रियली वांट टू टॉक अबाउट सेल्फ अवेयरनेस। एंड सिंस इट्स अबाउट सेल्फ अवेयरनेस एंड आई थॉट कि थोड़ा सा अनफेयर हो सकता है अगर मैं किसी और को लेके बात करूँ तो। सो इन दिस पॉडकास्ट आई विल ओनली टॉक अबाउट my self awareness and how you can also achieve self awareness, or if you're already on the path, then kudos to that. Firstly, I think if you're watching this podcast to genuinely know okay, how to be self aware, then you're already on the path of being self-aware. So definitely kudos to that. So I have listed down a couple of points which I have been thinking about self-awareness. I'm inside this game for a couple of years now. So it started with reading and everything. So I'll try to share my entire journey also and all the points which I can like sum up so that I can give you a step-by-step process through which you can also start. And if you're already on your journey, then maybe you can still reconsider it because self-awareness is, as we all know, it's like a lifelong process. One does not just become aware. It's just a process that people go through. So Hindi, English, that's what I'm thinking now. And since I've spoken so much in English, so I guess I will continue in English only for the rest of the podcast. Anyways, so the first thing which I would like to say is like when you're starting with self-awareness, like the most simplest and easiest way if you want to get into it is by meditation. I know it's like the cliché thing, and it's like obviously the hype lately. Okay, meditation is everywhere and everyone's talking about it, but it's actually really helpful. So even if you start with 15 minutes and meditation, I'm not telling you that just sit and like try to clear out your head, clear out your thoughts, don't think anything. That comes at a very later stage in life. Right now, when you're sitting and thinking, all I want you to think about is yourself, about what you're doing in your life, where you're going. Like think about your long-term plans and be short-term plans, or what you're going to through. So what you want to do throughout your life, or like what you're going to do throughout your day, whether something you're doing is actually fruitful or not. So what happens a lot lately, like what is happening in my life also, and I think it might happen in a lot of other people also. Basically, what people do is they get into a monotonous routine. They do the same shit over and over and over again. So initially, it requires a little bit of your time and your brain, but after a point of time it is just your time, not your brain. So your brain kind of goes into a passive mode, and because it knows that this is something that you have to do daily regardless, so it actually does not think about it. And if you don't think about it, you will be stuck doing the same thing over and over and over for months. Now if you actually sit and take a step back or maybe think about it, maybe you can find another optimized way to do it in a better way that will actually save your time and your efforts. But exactly for that you have to think, and the only time you can actually get to silently think is when you meditate. So don't try to clear out your thoughts. Just sit for 15 minutes at least in a day and think whatever thoughts come in your head, just let them flow. I gave you a couple of prompts, so you can maybe start with thinking those. That's like the first and the most easiest way you can get into the game of self awareness. Wow. Next, I would say is very close to this and very close to me as well. It's about writing down. So I try to write as much as possible. Obviously, my schedule does not permit me to do since I do a lot of things in my day, but I do try to take out as much as time as possible. And I know this is also just an excuse which I'm giving that my schedule does not permit. I know if I have to, if I want to, then I can write it down, and I urge you to write down as well. Because there are two benefits of writing your thoughts down. Also, it's not necessary that you have to create a book or diary or anything. Like my personal go-to place for writing is Quora. And if you guys also know about Quora or use Quora, you know, like it's basically a question answer portal. So what happens over here is when you see a question and you try to answer it, so it makes your mind think about your perspective to that answer to that question. I hope I'm clear with this. Basically, you have a clarity in opinion of that particular question. And that in turn gives you more self-awareness. Like this is what you actually think. Maybe you think a particular thing, but you don't know about it consciously until you actually start writing it down. So that is one thing. Another thing is you can obviously write about your day and everything in your books. So I'll give you an example of Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett actually writes down about each and every trade of his, like before he makes an investment, he writes down on his book, and he writes basically the name of the investment and why he decided to invest over there. So whatever his decision would be, whether it is luck, whatever his decision would be, whether it is through some research or some advice or whatever, he writes down. So later on, when whatever we either he gains a profit or he gains a loss, whatever is the case, he can know that whether it was just dumb luck or like were his decisions actually proper, and that will help him take further decisions better in his life. So writing down is obviously make him consciously aware about each and every decision, and something this you can also consider doing. Yep. Okay. Also, one more thing I would like to say, in my previous solo podcast, a lot of people told me that I speak very fast. And before I complete my thought, before people can process my thought, I jump to the new thought. So I'm trying to slow it down. I don't think up tak hua hai because I'm still blabbering shit, but I'll slow down from the next point onwards. Let's see. Which will actually bring, it's like a perfect segue. I said this point was down in my list, but now since I'm talking, so I think this is a perfect segue. You have to identify your flaws and start detecting it whenever you are going to do. So it is, I know it's very easy to preach, but like just I detected it right now. Okay, last time ऐसा हुआ था and मेरे friends ने मुझे correct किया था. So that way I'm doing. So you can actually ask your friends. You can ask your friends for feedback. Like for example, if you're trying to change a certain behavior in yourself, like this one in mine, another behavior could be, which happens in a lot of people, is that they try to one up the other person. When I say one up, as in like someone will tell you some incident and it will be like, wo to kuch nahi hai, mere sath ye hua hai, or basically that is nothing, like a worse thing has happened to you, or like a better thing has happened to me, something like that. Basically here you're disregarding the other person and putting yourself on top, which is not a very polite thing to do, and a lot of people do get offended because of that, because they don't feel the importance. So if you are doing this behavior, you can change it. This was just an example, by the way. So if suppose you are trying to change this behavior of yours, so you can maybe tell a friend which hangs out with you frequently that if he ever detects you, he or she ever detects you doing this, then they should immediately help you correct it. That's how you'll learn. So that is another way of being self-aware, like outsourcing your self-awareness. Wow. Anyways, yeah, another question of outsourcing, but actually finding it yourself, is asking your friends to give their genuine feedback about you. So on this question, like I have been asking my friends for years now, like every 6 months, I do like a feedback thing from all the friends I'm close to at that point of time. So most of time, what will happen is when you ask your friends that what do they genuinely think about you, majority answers will come like they think you're sweet, you're nice, caring, and like all the generic things. But you are not supposed to accept that, because those are obviously surface level answers. We need to go deep. So for going deep, what you will do is you can ask them, why do they think you are nice? So here two things will happen. If they are unable to answer why do they think you're nice or sweet or whatever, that means that they do not actually care about you as a friend. They are just surface level friends and they don't really care who you are deep inside. They just want you on the surface. So I think maybe that will make you self-aware to change your friends or like choose better friends. And if they actually give you proper answers, then that will make you realize something that you do subconsciously, which you don't know about yourself. And another thing I would say is also ask your flaws. So generally what I ask my friends is like, tell me 3 cons about myself or 3 pros or whatever. So the same thing you can also do, that tell them something that they think is lacking in you. Because if you don't identify your flaws, then you will never fix it. And if you'll never fix it, you'll never become a better person. And that's the whole point of self-awareness, that identify yourself, become a better version of yourself. That's, I guess, my definition. I think it can be variable for other people as well. So don't call me out if you don't agree on this, okay? It is very subjective. I'm just, in this podcast, I am just talking about my definition of how to be self-aware. So that's what we're doing. Let's move on to the next point. Next point I have is about work. So it's actually kind of a segue from the previous point only. So just like you took feedback from your friends, you can also take the similar feedback from your workplace as well. So ask your superiors, ask your co-workers, ask your juniors as well. So I run a team of a lot of people, around 10 to 15, and I do make it a point that whenever any of my intern leaves the internship, I ask them for a feedback, like how I treated them throughout the month. Was there something I could have done better? Was there something that I could have optimized or made their life or work easier? And I've received a lot of amazing suggestions, which has made me a better boss, I would say. So you should also do that. Do it with your friends. Sorry, do it with your coworkers, do it with your superiors, and that will definitely help you increase your productivity. And also it will create a nice impression in front of your boss. So that person will know that you're trying to be a better person, and people generally like helping other people. So do try that. Next point. Yeah, so this point, I'm not sure if I should say it, but since I've written it down, I will say it, because why not? इसलिए तो लिखा है मैंने. Basically, it's for those people who are kind of going through a rough time And so it could be possible that the friends and work wala part, which I mentioned before this, is not applicable to you. So because a lot of people don't really have friends, or they're lonely in life, or like work culture is super toxic and you can't really talk to anyone. So loneliness is something which anyone can go through. You can be surrounded with people and not be able to talk to anyone. So in that case, I would say that consult a therapist. So if you think you are sad all the time, depressed all the time, and you can't really detect why, then you should consult a therapist, because therapy is like the easiest place through which you are forced to become self-aware, because therapists do not give you solution to your problems. They help you come to solution yourself. And the only way is that they will give you specific prompts and questions which will make you talk about yourself and in turn be more aware about yourself. So therapy, do not undermine it, because it is a really amazing way. I have tried it myself for a couple of months, and it did really help me out. I'm in a much better place right now compared to I was in 2020. 2020 was a rough year for me. So yeah, do try out therapy as well. That will definitely help you understand a lot of things about yourself which nobody can on the surface level understand you. So now let's talk about the problems with self-awareness, like why it is also a problem to me. I guess I said the same thing. So I was talking with my friend Rashmi the other day, and we were just discussing about this. Like, we genuinely feel that if we were less self-aware in our lives, we would be much happier. You must have heard the quote, "Ignorance is bliss." So that totally applies to a lot of people. Like, even if you notice in your surroundings, there are so many dumb people who are just situated and fixed. I forgot the word. Blah blah blah. Sorry, situated or fixated in their dumb problems in their lives, and spend their whole lives surrounded with dumb problems, the problems which are just made up in their head and that can be easily cleared by critical thinking. People don't think, they are just surrounded by stupid silly shit, like guy problem, girl problem, and I can't even get into that. Basically, I hope you're getting my point, that very basic problems, and they just live happily because they don't think deep inside them. The more you think about yourself, the more unhappier you are. That's why it's generally, if you check the stats, like the more the intelligent a person is, like the less happier are the chances of that person being. The dumber you are, the happier you are. Ignorance is bliss is definitely something that we can consider, but I don't really have a solution for that. Like, if you are self-aware, then you are self-aware, but you can't really do anything about it. So, generally what happens is that these people who are not that much self-aware, they just give this one excuse for all their flaws. Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I've heard that so much in my life that it's honestly really annoying now. So this is the best excuse that they can come up with, because they don't really want to improve as a person. So the whole process, which I said about self-awareness, identifying your flaws and everything, they don't even think about this because they have accepted that nobody's perfect and they just peacefully living that happier life. Sometimes it feels that being self-aware can also make you a bit more critical or skeptical than you should usually be. So this is also an entire arc that you have to go through. So from an entire arc, I actually remembered a very big problem with my self-awareness, which I went through recently. So yeah, for getting self-aware, firstly, if you're using zodiac signs or astrology, fuck that shit, okay? That does not, whatever zodiac signs tells about your personality, that is not who you are, okay? Stop believing that shit. Now, if I know that you are going to get triggered if you believe in it, and so actually you keep continuing believing in it, what I will tell you is, get more deep into it, research more about it, read more about it, find other ways through which this proves that whatever that you read in astrology, how it works, how exactly are all those predictions made. And after a point of time, you will start finding the flaws in it. So similar thing happened with me. So I don't know if anyone knows about MBTI. I've talked about it extensively in my previous podcast also. I'll give a quick overview. MBTI is Myers-Briggs type indicator, or more popularly known as the 16 personalities type. Basically, you give a test which will ask you some questions related to your behavior. So here there is no right or wrong answer. You just have to give answers, and at the end it will show you a personality type within 4 letters. So INFJ, ENTP, ENFJ, and so on. So my type is ENTP, that is extroverted, intuitive, thinker, and perceiver. So these are 4 dominant qualities in me. So if you actually want, you can actually start with this. So I would say that this is a very good first stepping point of getting self-aware. So now this tells me 4 major qualities in me which are applicable in my day-to-day life. And when I read about it, I was obsessed. Okay, I thought that this particular test understands me in and out. I was so much into it that I went from liking MBTI to extremely obsessing about MBTI. Then I got into it, reading into it, and I thought more about it. And now finally I'm at that stage where I don't really care about MBTI. So from obsessing to not caring what the results are, I would say that is a growth, because scientifically this test is not considered accurate. There is another test which is called the Big Five personality test. That is something you can give. That is a bit more accurate compared to this, because there are a lot of flaws in this as well. But before I tell you the flaws, I want you to think about it. If you give the test, then you will also definitely like it. You will find it that it is much more relatable to you. So same case can be applied to astrology as well. So if you're into astrology, I would suggest read more about it, learn everything that you can, and then you yourself will give it up as much as you learn about it. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so I think that is enough. What happened to my screen? Why is it vibrating? I think it's my light. Okay. Yeah. So final point I would say is another way of being self-aware is the type of decisions that you make every day and the type of things you surround yourself with subconsciously. For example, the type of decisions that you make are like every day when you decide something, like always think of yourself from a third person's perspective later on in the day. So at the end of the day, you can maybe think like, today I made this decision, then why did I did that? What was my thought process behind it? Or another thing, like for example, I can just notice my poster over here, and that really reminds me the type of music that you listen to. So what you have to know is, are you really listening to that type of music which you like, or are you listening to that type of music which the society likes, or like basically the pop culture likes, or whatever that is trending? Or if you are on the first option, that you're listening to the type of music a very specific which the other people don't like, then think about it. Why do you like this type of music? Do you like it for the music? Do you like it for the tone? Or do you like it for the lyrics? For me personally, they are lyrics. I generally listen to the music which has which has lyrics which are relatable to me. Even if the tune is not nice, I wouldn't say tune. Even if the melody is not nice or it's not that much catchy, it's okay. I care more about the words. And Green Day, I think, is an amazing artist, or an amazing band, sorry, that you can listen to. So there is a song called Jesus. My Guju accent came out. So there is a song called Jesus of Suburbia. You have to listen to it no matter what. Okay, drop everything you're doing right now and just listen to this one song. Read the lyrics. On the first go, it will seem very bland and over the top, but the more you listen to it a couple of times, the lyrics are so intense and so deep. Like most of Green Day songs are very philosophical. Okay, Jesus of Suburbia, Basket Case, and 21 Guns. These three, I'll say, are the most philosophical songs that I am aware about. There could be more also. If you know, then let me know in the comments. But Jesus of Suburbia is the #1 song. You have to listen. So a lot of points which I spoke over here in the video, they're actually covered in the song. Okay, Jesus of Suburbia, Ignorance is Bliss wala, Therapy wala, and a couple of other things as well. So listen to this song, identify it, and let me know in the comments what was taken from that. So this is an amazing inspiration. Listen to more songs about it, and I hope this helps you in becoming more self-aware. I think this is a very wholesome podcast. I covered a lot of points. If there are any other tips which you think I missed out, because I am also still on the process, okay? I do not claim to be an expert. I'm just sharing my experience and what I think is good. It could be possible that I am wrong as well. If you know, then let me know in the comments, and maybe after a couple of years, I'll watch and react to this video and maybe cringe on this. I will be more self-aware or less self-aware. We don't know. So only time will tell. But till then, keep thinking. That's what I would say. Okay. Peace out.